Billy, it's Friday. We made it.
Have to admit, there are some questions this week.
I literally stumbled into the studio with one shoe untied.
Yeah, it was great.
My wife said the National March for Life, which kicks off today, and the older two are as well. Our kids are out there with a
nice.
March for Life trip from their high school, so I'm doing my best to manage.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit of that scattershot. Kind of like, oh yeah. It's you don't miss the spouse as much as when they haven't been there for a couple of days.
Right.
And my favorite is that, oh God, they're coming back. How much time do I have to clean?
Yeah, exactly. God was smart when he put male and female together and said, you guys do it as one.
Yep.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about today. My goodness, the Jack Smith testimony, church protests, arrest, J.D. Vance in Minnesota. The murder rate has plummeted, which is fascinating. We'll get into this. This is big news I want to cover right away once we get after the news with Blake Olson. But Ron Weinberg, friend of the program, not running for re-election.
Yeah, that did surprise me because I've always seen him as someone that isn't shying away from a fight or isn't backing down. But sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. And if you keep running into the burning building and nobody else seems to be concerned that it's on fire, should you continue to run into it? And so I kind of look at that maybe that there are other things going on in his life and other choices. And again, as we all know, Jeff, you and I, we talk about it all the time in this show that we never would have imagined that this show would be created, nor would we be put together. So we had so many other different seasons in our life beforehand. And whenever Salem decides to pull the plug on this show, because you're always hired in radio to be fired, whenever that happens, there will be different seasons in our life as well. So this is a changing of the seasons for him, but we are sad to see him go.
We appreciated him always being willing to come on the show and talk, even through the most controversial issues. With the interview heard round the Capitol just a few months ago, addressing some of the allegations he was facing with his wife right there along by his side. And he was the only Jewish Republican down there, so would take the slings and arrows from the crazy anti-Semitic libs like... oh gosh, I'm forgetting their names now.
Oh yeah, but that's a good thing. We don't have to remember them. that is just fine.
The Democrat Party eventually took care of them.
Yeah, and there were certain times where he stood up.
Tim Hernandez.
Yeah, Tim Hernandez was the other one, and I forgot the other gal's
Elizabeth
name.
Epps.
There we go.
Timmy Epps was the.
Yeah,
it was like Brangelina.
And the thing was that what I appreciated is that he would directly confront the anti-Semitism in the statements, and especially some of the machinations they were doing around the Israeli action in Gaza and some of the just performative statements that some of the Colorado legislators were making on the left-hand side of things. And he absolutely was right to call them out, and he did. And I love the fact that he was not afraid. I will miss that kind of a voice in the legislature. That's why we like Brandy Bradley to come on the show. You know, we like those type of voices.
Go. Wow. We've got a lot to talk about. Feel free to jump right in. Join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. By the way, Dan had a great show yesterday. I was catching it on the speeding in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Just how ridiculous it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how often do you get on the highway and people are just going over 100 miles an hour?
Well, part of it
was a great show. Dan.
Oh, yeah. Part of it, though, has to do with, there are a couple of things that, and we'll just take a moment here to talk about it. One is the capability of our automobiles. We have older automobiles, and we have some really old automobiles in our family for a while. And that would be until a very unfortunate accident that still pains me. That hurts. But we had a 99 Honda Civic. Thing was great, and we took care of it. Had 170,000 miles
family,
on it.
Man.
Yeah,
those things go.
Yep, and it is just great. But getting that thing on the highway and goosing it to like 75, 80, 85 doesn't really want to do that, and because it's not built to do that. Exactly, the vibration, everything else, and you can feel it in that car more than you can the cars that we have now. And so the cars that we have now are in many ways built, more sturdy, but also to go faster.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. And here's the other problem. It is a problem with us as drivers, and it's our judgment of our driving ability. And let me break it down really quick for you. We all judge our driving ability not on our skill set, but on our safety record. Just because we get in this multi-thousand-pound machinery and we don't go ping-balling down the road, and prong, 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 and bouncing off stuff, we go, I'm a good driver. I've never hit anything. So just the fact that we managed to not smash this major piece of machinery into something else, we assume we do a great job. I think that's a pretty low bar for entry. I don't think that's what they...
one mistake.
Yes, yeah.
One mistake.
They don't judge NASCAR drivers based on how often you hit something. Obviously, you can run NASCAR. No, not the same thing. Not the same skill set. When you're being trained to be a motor vehicle officer for the state patrol, they don't go ahead and ask you necessarily, if you've got a clean safety record. Obviously, you can go and be in high-speed pursuit against the bad guys. No. That's the problem. We judge our driving ability based on our safety record, and that is the worst way to do it.
Now is time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning, TGIF. 15 with cloudy conditions. Feels like 6 degrees outside in Denver. Expecting a high of 23 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, the president says a U.S. naval armada is headed toward the Persian Gulf region, telling reporters Thursday that his administration is watching Iran. Trump said that perhaps U.S. naval power won't be needed, but the ships are on their way just in case. Let's pray that that doesn't happen. Thousands of anti-abortion protesters, including the Hunt family, expected to descend on the nation's capital today for the annual March for Life rally. VPJD will attend the rally and deliver remarks to the crowd on the National Mall. The gathering comes nearly 4 years after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Governor Jared Polis' office sent out a new report released by the Colorado Division of Criminal Justice that shows a substantial decrease in crime across multiple counties, including the murder rate. Aurora has seen drops in crime, and the police chief told Fox 31 everything from technology, community input, flock cameras, and a new policy from Chief Todd Chamberlain, is doing a great job allowing officers to pursue stolen vehicles, has contributed. And removing Tren de Aragua probably has helped as well.
And shutting the border down?
Yeah, maybe. The border may have something to do with it.
I mean, murder plummeted more than 20% across the country.
Yes.
Okay? That's the largest drop on record.
God,
and I'm just going to throw this out there this hour, because I want to get into this, but we did elect a president that shut the border down and then sent the National Guard into the most dangerous cities.
Right.
Whoa, I wonder what happened. What changed things? I'm sure it was the Democrats just hugging the criminals more that actually dropped the murder
Exactly. Rate. I'm sure the technology was the biggest thing. Supporters of replacing Colorado's flat income tax to graduated tiers want approval from the state title board for 8 revised ballot measures and must now choose one to advance. The proposals would raise taxes on higher earners to fund education, child care, and health care, and partially repeal the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights flat tax requirement. The board ruled the measures won't trigger Tabor's 55% approval threshold. Opponents plan to appeal, and proponents face a lengthy process ahead of them. Denver police have arrested 29-year-old Alejandro Cifuentes for a deadly hit-and-run involving a pedestrian. He hit a pedestrian on North Calumet Street near West 11th on January 2nd. The crash killed 19-year-old Angelo Simpson, who was reportedly in a crosswalk at the time he was hit. Police believe Cifuentes was traveling about 100 miles an hour at the time his vehicle hit Simpson. Cifuentes, God, and Jeff and Bill were just talking about this. It is incredible, the speeds that we see now. Cifuentes is charged with leaving the scene of an accident involving death and is due in court on February 5th. DJT has returned to D.C. after a productive trip to the WF in Davos. 47.
Dude, he crushed it, man.
Yeah, he did. That was
so nice to have a president
that was impressive.
like this.
Absolutely. And the administration was outstanding. And I think we know who is in control right now. The world
100%.
The world knows. 47 oversaw a signing ceremony establishing his Gaza Board of Peace. Wednesday, he announced he would not use military force, of course, to bring Greenland under U.S. control, and worked out a deal that will be beneficial to everyone. Last night on Air Force One, the press asked about his bruising on his hand.
We saw the bruising on your hand. Are you okay?
Very good. I clipped it on the table. So I put a little, what do they call it, cream on it. But I clipped it.
He clipped it. Neosporin, I think, is what he was trying to
I would say take aspirin if you like your heart, but don't take aspirin if you don't want to have a little bruising. You know, if you take I take the big aspirin. And when you take the big aspirin, they tell you you're bruised. The doctor said, you don't have to take that, sir. You're very healthy. I said, I'm not taking any chances. So anyway, but that's one of the side effects of taking aspirin.
Well, I forgot about that. Take the aspirin. He calls it the big aspirin, and the bruises easily are seen, and you bruise easily at that age. All right, Drake May and the Patriots invade Denver to face backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham, and the Broncos in the AFC Championship game at Mile High Sunday at 1 o'clock. Bo Nix says he has confidence in Stidham, excited to play the team that drafted him.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think every week I've always, going back to when I was backing up Russ, I've prepared the same every single week like I am the starter. Just hasn't obviously been that way, minus 2 weeks. So my preparation hasn't changed one bit. And, yeah, that's just kind of how I view it.
We're going to lose by 35.
The week started off, you said 50, so now you're down to 34. Yeah. So tomorrow,
be a disaster.
Could be down to 50. Nah, I think it'll be a close game. I do. I think it may be a touchdown game.
Yeah,
I do
too. And Jeff and I were talking about this off air that some people forget that when Josh McDaniels was named head coach of the Vegas Raiders, the very first personnel move he made was to sign Jarrett Stidham. Mm-hmm. And that is the offensive coordinator of which we are going against. And the first player he brought to the Raiders is Stidham. Mm-hmm. So
you know what you guys remind me of?
He knows him well.
That meme of the guy with like the conspiracy theories with like all the little things tied to each other. The Broncos fans that think this is going to work out remind me of that guy. They're like, Josh McDaniels did this, and then this guy was this, and he started off here. The dude hasn't taken a snap all season. He's 1-3
in a game. In a game.
In a game. Who cares if you're in the backyard? But he's 1-3 when he plays the game. This is gonna be 35-point blowout.
Well, if it was in New England, maybe.
Yeah, if it was in New England. Why do you think that Jarrett Stidham doesn't have the skill set to run the offense? Why do you? Because that seems to be it. If it's a 35-point blowout,
because
it means
if
one. It means one, the defense doesn't do well.
NFL would use him.
But we
He
know
would be a starter somewhere.
we knew there have been reports that there were 2 teams that reached out to the Broncos and gave them some really significant draft capital to sign Stidham before the season. The Browns and the Jets, I believe, are the 2 teams that have been reported. Those are 2 teams that were looking for quarterbacks desperately, and they were willing to pay through the nose to get him. And I believe Stidham is on a $15 million year contract as a backup, which may be the highest backup quarterback contract in the league. That might say something. And again, a 35-point blowout means that our defense also didn't show up. And last time I checked, Jared's not playing on the other side of the field.
And one of the things that happens, you see it a lot. And I know, well, and oftentimes we don't know what's going on. But, half these quarterbacks, the organizations are forced to play them because they're paying them tons of money. And there may be a backup out there. There could be 4 or 5 backups. Stidham could be one of them, who actually could be more productive than the quote-unquote star quarterback who they paid tons of money to before he even proved himself. All you have to do is look at Arizona. The Cardinals are a great example of that. I mean, there are teams out there, probably 10 to 12 teams, who may have the name quarterback that they have to pay. They have to pay him, and they have to play him. And you get in a situation where, they may not actually be as productive as a guy who's taking reps in practice and is growing in a system like Stidham is. So, this is a glass half full. The fact is he has a great defense and he has the home field advantage. And there are very few better home field advantages.
For me, I know that I am being actually irrationally optimistic on the game.
Yes,
I acknowledge
thank you.
that. Oh, yeah, I acknowledge that. But the idea is the defense, as long as the defense performs, you're assuming the Patriots won't score more than around 23. That's kind of the ceiling so far. So if it's 23, the chances then are, what are the chances that Stidham could pull off as a backup, putting 23 on the Patriots? Yeah, I think that's absolutely doable because I saw a backup quarterback put 55 on the Broncos in a damn Super Bowl. So I'm certain that a backup quarterback can put 55 on a team full of starters. So I am not going to discount that just because the backup stepped in, because I was that kid that was like, the Washington Redskins are bringing their backup. We are going to crush them. This is going to be, and I'm watching the scoreboard just go ding, 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 like you're at the gas station. Just roll up and go higher and higher and higher. Then we get to half a century and we're like, what? And so if a backup quarterback can put 55 on a starting defense in the Super Bowl, I think a backup quarterback has at least a better than average shot at putting 20 on the Patriots at a home game.
I agree.
It's at least
look at Sam Darnold in Seattle. The Seahawks are playing the Rams in the NFC game. A lot of people didn't see that coming, and he's arguably the best quarterback right now.
And Darnold was a backup beforehand, and the Vegas Raiders, of course, went to Geno Smith, who was a career backup.
Right.
So, and Darnold was a backup right before this. And you have Kirk Cousins that was a backup as well.
1-4 or 1-3, and he's going to have all this pressure on him. The speed of the game is going to catch up to him. The pressure is going to catch up to him. He's going to panic.
All of that was said about Doug Williams, and he put 55 on the starting defense of the Broncos in the Super Bowl. There's more pressure starting at a neutral site on the Super Bowl than there is at the AFC Championship game at home.
No way.
So
if a backup quarterback in the first quarter,
if a backup quarterback can throw 55 on the Broncos, we got a shot. We got a shot.
I think we have a touchdown difference either way. We'll get your predictions coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, both of you, or the 8 o'clock hour, okay? At the 9 o'clock news, we'll have the big predictions for this weekend. Peyton Watson scores 35. The Nuggets beat the Wizards last night, 107-97. Flyers at the Avalanche tonight, 14 in Parker, 13 in Arvada, 15 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Billy on a Friday, TGIF. Goodness gracious. Thank God. Yeah, exactly. Thank God it is Friday. Thank you, Jesus. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Weather pattern changes are coming to Denver in the Front Range as Arctic air is going to leak out of Canada, and a little bit of moisture coming in from the west will collide with that cold air, bringing us finally a little winter weather. It'll be cooler today. Partly cloudy. Denver will see mid to upper 30s. Quite cold tonight. Lows low teens to near 10 or so. And Friday will be a cold day. Temperatures will be steady in the teens and 20s with light snow developing. Light snow Friday night, single digits to 0. Areas of light snow Saturday, highs low teens. Flurries Saturday night and Sunday, and bitter cold. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Here's the post from Ron Weinberg last night. Serving this community has been one of the greatest honors of my life. I'm deeply grateful to every supporter, volunteer, friend, and neighbor who's trusted me and stood with me. I will not be running for re-election. I will complete my full term and continue doing the people's work until my last day in office, which will be May. My commitment to you remains unchanged. Thank you for the opportunity to serve, and thank you to my family for the sacrifices they made so I could. Text messages coming in on this one. Joan from Lakewood saying, do you think that the Republican legislators that are choosing not to run for election is a reflection of the weak position leadership of the GOP? You think that has anything to do with this, Bill?
I think there's a little bit of that. I think, and in part, it's the idea of we've heard state lawmakers express this, that when you're teetering on the edge of being in a super minority, it is difficult to get up and do your job day after day after day, because it feels like you're always headed towards the meat grinder. And there isn't going to be a moment where you feel that and I'm using in air quotes, a win is possible. And so you're just trying to do triage and keep the bleeding to a minimum. And that has got to be a very, very difficult grind. And I also think that it is somewhat of a reflection of whether or not they think that the messaging or the party momentum is going to carry them. But I also think there could be some of them that there are conversations behind that they were like, let's go ahead and try some new blood. Let's go ahead. And that could be persuasive to individuals in, certain times of their life. The idea that, we've seen a number of people in recent history have very short terms as the head of the Colorado GOP party. And some of that is because of internal machinations, difficulty getting people elected, and just the stress of the job. And so I can imagine that as a state lawmaker, that's got to be even more difficult. And so
he does have
he's got
young
some
kids,
pressures there.
100% probably a part of that decision. So his district is close, though. So he is in House District 51, which is in the Loveland area. So think the entire city of Loveland, it looks like, on the map here. And in his last election, won by 2,800 votes. 2,800 votes. It was 52-47, and there were strong allegations made against Ron.
Yeah.
If you remember, Ron came on our show along with his wife to address those. Rejected all of them. Said they didn't happen. I asked him if, hey, were you getting going, drinking a little bit? Because some of the claims were at a bar that he made some inappropriate comments to some husbands about their wives at a bar, and declined all of it. Said none of it happened. So that would have been, those allegations would have been used against him.
Yeah.
And in a close district, plus young family, plus, all the stress that comes, as you mentioned, with being in the minority and just sitting there with no control at all down at the state capitol. It's not even close. So where do you find avenues to try to make a difference in a state that's run by socialists? So, yeah, I don't blame him for moving on.
Yeah, I can see why that. It's is it worth it? And I do think that fighting some of those allegations, and again, not saying that they are true or not true, but fighting them is going to be difficult, because if anybody tries to primary him, that's going to be the focus during the primary, and you
Which he did
well,
have.
Yep, and you darn well know it'll be the focus of the general as well. Now, even though it is a kind of a tight district, and those type of margins can hurt. And do you want to go through an entire primary and then the general having to answer the same questions, the same things that again aren't necessarily connected to your ability to do your job, but they are more questions about your character. And so how long do you want to go through that in that grind? And after going through a primary, facing the same thing in the general, but amplified by the Democrats, that'd be difficult. That would be a real hard choice to make.
Well, would love to have you join the conversation. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. What do you think? Ron Weinberg stepping aside. He'll continue to finish his seat, but not going to run for re-election. Going to look for other things to do. Maybe he's just had enough with politics at this point, ready to move on to other things. Would love to hear from you. Also, if you're looking to connect with us on social media, we are centralizing all of our viewership at our 710KNUS YouTube channel. So if you go to youtube.com/710KNUS/live, you can see us right there and join the conversations online. We got comments going there as well. Marty on the YouTube channel writing, idiots cry about gas prices and still build 500 horsepower vehicles.
That's part of it. I was watching something just the other day talking about some of the ridiculous power that is available in some of the production cars that are coming out. I mean, when you're able to, again, it costs you a lot of money, but when you're able to buy cars that can roll with something like 800 horsepower, that gets a little scary. And then you're telling them, hey, keep it under 55. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Joan from Lakewood texting in. Ron's wife probably she was involved too. She was a chief of staff. Probably just said, enough is enough, Ron. There you go.
Yeah,
all right. You're going to miss him down at the state capitol. Let us know. Give us a call. 303-696-1971. Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. Let's talk modern rugged leather. From city streets to mountain trails, your gear should go wherever life takes you. That's why at Modern Rugged Leather, every bag is handcrafted from premium, responsibly sourced leather, designed to look sharp, last long, and tell a story of its own. Billy, I almost feel like I don't deserve this bag. It's so nice.
The thing is that we've all seen that person walking into the building, walking into the meeting, And it is part of that first impression. And you've seen those canvas bags, the things that might have big logos on them, or they're frayed around the edges, or, the strap has got some problems. But with these leather bags, the wonderful part about it is, as they age, they don't look worse. They look better. They get character. They don't fray. They don't tear. They don't look worn out. They look like they've done work. They get some darkening. They get some creases in them. It's just like that old, comfortable, lazy boy chair that you got that really kind of breaks in. Once the bag breaks in, that's when it really starts looking good. And it is a statement when you walk into that room, and especially when you walk into that meeting. You got a new job interview coming up. You show up with this thing, there's going to be something in the back of the interviewer's mind that says, this person knows something or has the ability to do something. I got to take this a little more seriously. It sounds silly, but listen, that's how good these bags are. They look that good, and they present that well. It absolutely is something.
Each stitch, buckle, and strap reflects timeless craftsmanship and is backed by a lifetime warranty, because quality shouldn't quit when the adventure begins. Whether it's in the boardroom or the back roads, Modern Rugged Leather helps you carry confidence every step of the way. Modern Rugged Leather, modern style, timeless durability, backed for life. Life takes you places. Make sure your gear can keep up. Shop the full collection and find yours today at modernrugged.com. Again, that's modernrugged.com. Being checkered texting in. I tip my hat to anyone who decides not to become a career politician. I wish more people would follow Ron's example, and then we wouldn't have the Assisted Living Center on Capitol Hill.
Yes, I love you
well
being
done.
checkered. Yes, and remember, guys, that we have members of Congress that have served longer than the popes. Yeah, that's great. And they're older.
We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Bill, check out this headline. Murders plummeted more than 20% in the United States last year, the largest drop on record. Wonder what changed.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No. What?
Oh, the border and Donald Trump's presidency.
Do we
Mr.
think
Thorpe?
What were the percentage of murders being committed by illegal aliens beforehand? Was it? I mean, were they committing 20% or more of the murders in America? I'm not certain
that
was.
was a portion. It was a portion of it.
I know,
then
but
Donald Trump's presidency, and then he sent all the troops in to these really dangerous cities, and
no,
you watched the murder rate plummet when he did?
He sent them to blue cities, not the most dangerous cities. He didn't go to the cities that had the highest murder rates. He sent them to blue cities that he was mad at.
Which have higher murder rates.
Some of them do, but
cities,
they
right? What red
no.
cities do we even have?
No, there were a number of red cities that had higher murder rates than D.C. and Chicago.
Talking about red states or red cities?
Cities.
What red cities?
I'll
What
have to do the research.
exist?
We did them back when we were going through this. We went through it, and there were a number of them. There's some there, and we'll have to go run through them. But there are a couple, and so it wasn't actually going after murder rate. So that would be it. I mean, there's probably a number of things. There's some things that Trump did, and there's some things that he didn't do. And if it is all because of causation of things that he did, if we give him that credit, okay, fine. Then we need to also, I feel, give him credit for the largest increase of murder rate in the U.S., which happened in 2020, under the last year of his presidency when the murder rate went up 29%. So if we're going to give him credit for being in power and enacting change this way, then we give him credit for being in power and enacting change the other way as well.
I don't know if you can do that because he didn't send troops into cities.
No, but the idea is that the causal agent is Donald Trump and his choices while in power. Okay, if that is the reasoning.
So wait, hold on. You're blaming him?
No, I'm just saying.
In 2020 for not sending troops to cities?
I'm not blaming him for not sending troops to cities. I'm just saying that if we're saying that the choices he made, whatever that is, because you're hanging up on troops to cities, I am not convinced that sending troops to a couple of cities lowers the murder rate across the country. I disagree with that.
Dude, that was like demonstratively. Like that was clearly demonstrated in Washington, D.C.
But hang on a sec. No. If I am going to kill somebody in Bozeman, Montana, whether or not Donald Trump has the military in D.C. or Chicago doesn't matter a bit to me because they're not there. That's not going to be part of my consideration. No, it's not going to be part of my consideration.
Yeah, but in D.C., where you have lots of murders, when he sent troops in, the murder rate dropped.
But
we learned how to solve the problem. It's policing.
No. But the issue is that the claim is that because of troops, murder rate drop across country. I don't see the causal relationship. You can talk about pockets because you'd have to have the influence of the troops in those areas. You can't say that because we sent troops into a couple of areas, it lowers murder rate across the country. But the issue I've got is this, because I understand that you're hanging on the idea that we need to have the troops. And if that's true, then go ahead and advocate that the military. Are you going to advocate that the military should be the actual law enforcement? If that's what it takes to enforce the law, then make the argument that the military is needed to enforce the law, and we can talk about.
You don't need to make that argument. You can make the argument that just having dudes standing around with big old guns in their hands stops people from doing murders. That was proven in Washington, D.C., and it's having an impact. Like, these cities are where most of the murders happen. They don't happen in Bozeman, Montana. Not based
on per
major city.
Again, percentages is based on per capita, so it doesn't matter. If you have a city that has 100 people, a city that has 1,000 people, and a city that has 10,000 people, you can have a higher murder rate in that 100-person city based on percentages.
It was for the entire country. The murder rate was the lowest since 1900.
Yeah, and under Donald Trump in 2020, the mder rate was the highest it had been since that time.
What was the difference between 2020 and 2025?
There are a variety of differences.
Yeah, let's talk about them.
Okay.
One being Trump sent troops in 2025.
Okay, but he only sent them to a couple of cities. How does that work across the entire country? And this is the idea. That's the argument that if we increase law enforcement in Aurora, that somehow crime will go down in Phoenix.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, the equivalent would be if we're going to increase law enforcement in Aurora and then the murder rate for Colorado drops.
That's not necessarily as applicable, though. There's not any causal agent, meaning that crime wasn't committed in Douglas County because Aurora has higher police presence.
But when you're looking at major cities that make up a bigger part of the whole, which is America, and this type of action in these major cities helped drive down the murder rate, and we shut down the border. Wow. But here's another aspect of this. Americans will do exactly what they did in Aurora this last election. Like, you have demonstrated, like, that Danielle Jurinsky and the Aurora City Council made life better in Aurora. Like, they did it. And then the voters are like, we want libs. And they'll just come in and elect Democrats. So in this case, like, we have a congressional election coming up. Donald Trump and Republicans in control dropped the murder rate to the lowest on record since down to 1900. And you'll still get voters that are like, he's too mean. The
issue is you have to prove the causal agent that it's because of Donald Trump being in power that these things dropped. And that's the issue. Is if it's his plans and policies.
Sure ain't Jared Pauls and Phil Weiser.
Then his plans and policies then would cause it to increase 29% in 2020. If it's based on the maneuvers of his administration, then you have to also give him blame for the highest rise in 2020. If not, then the bromide doesn't hold true. And if we
I think you could say, well, what the difference in 2020 was that he didn't send in troops to major cities.
But where did he send troops to? What major cities?
Here, like recently in the last year?
D.C., Chicago,
Memphis,
yeah.
Portland. He's fighting them up in Minnesota, Los Angeles.
And that's really weird.
Like all these places where Democrats are in control. He has proven that being tough on crime lowers the murder rate.
Yeah,
that is very clear in Washington.
And that's really weird because the highest per capita murder rates are found in New Orleans, Memphis, St. Louis, Baltimore. There's D.C., so we have Memphis and D.C., Birmingham, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Richmond, Indianapolis, Milwaukee, Louisville, Cleveland, Detroit, and Norfolk.
Chicago wasn't in your list?
Not on that top 10. Not that I have seen per capita. And so I've got two.
But why would you do just per capita? Why wouldn't you do total amount, especially if you're looking at
because per capita shows
city.
You because per capita is the share of the population that is killed. And here's the idea:
but we're looking at the entire nation.
But that still would be based on per capita
so
because it'd be number of people killed per 1,000.
A small town with 100 people where 4 people got killed would be worse than Chicago.
It would be. Hang on a sec. If it is a larger percentage of the population, yes. If a small town had 50% of their population murdered, but it was only 10 people, that means that it is a more violent area than in Chicago, who only had a smaller percentage of their population killed. That's why you do it by population. That's why it's done per capita. And that's the problem I've got is in these top cities that I'm seeing, I only see 2 that he sends them into. So if then, it's just an if-then statement. If this murder rate drops because of the military presence, then we would see the military presence be in all of the top murder cities. We don't see it then. It's not there. So I cannot come to the conclusion.
Trying to get out on per capita.
No, I can't
per
come to the conclusion.
It isn't what matters. It's total amount. It's total amount. I don't understand. Like,
yes, it is. It is per capita.
It has to do with the entire United States, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then it's amount, not per capita.
No, you judge violent areas based on violence per capita. That's just how the math works. It's always done that way because otherwise you can't correct for population size. And because what that does is if you just do it
We're talking about the entire country.
Hang on, but Jeff, if you just talk about amount, it means no matter what crime you talk about, it doesn't matter what crime you talk about, high population density areas will always have more simply because of total numbers. It doesn't mean that they are more violent if there are fewer crimes committed in those areas per capita than an area that has a smaller population. That's it. That's why
it is amazing how you guys will bend over backwards not to give Trump any credit.
This is not bending over backwards.
Amazing.
Jeff.
Our nation's safer, and you're like, and we have direct examples of how Trump with the troops brought down crime in these cities, and it's like technically per capita Cheyenne, Wyoming. It's just, oh my gosh.
Hang on a sec.
Give the guy some credit.
No, this goes back to the 80s and 90s. During 80s and 90s, the most violent area in America, I believe, is number 1 or number 2 was Gary, Indiana. Between the south side of Chicago and Gary, Indiana, had more murders than anywhere else in the entire nation.
Hold on, more per capita.
Hang on a sec. The reason it did that is because of per capita. It didn't have a larger total of murders. It had a larger portion of the murders. There are fewer people living in Gary, Indiana than there are in Chicago. But there was a higher percentage of deaths of the population, so it was considered the most dangerous area in city. That's how it's judged. It has been for decades. This is not new. I'm not making up new math. This is just how it's judged. It's always been judged based on per capita. Always.
I don't think that has anything to do with it. I mean, this is crazy. The fact that murders have plummeted across the country by more than 20%, and somehow a per capita analysis on small towns is the result of this? No, it's so clear. And this is why Democrats can't actually lead on anything. When Republicans step in, make decisions, shut down the border, go after the criminals, put troops in violent cities.
You put them in 2 of the top 10. That's silly.
No, that's
2 of the top 10.
You're getting out on a technicality.
No,
the fact that Chicago's not on your list, Bill, totally shows that you have no water right now. That Chicago's not on your list. All right, we'll get to You Choose the News coming up. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Billy and I will continue our math debate here in a second.
Yes,
Joan wants to jump in on this. Faith, the history teacher, jumping in as well. Let's pause for a little bit of the Friday edition of You Choose the News.
Yes, it's that special edition where we bring back those stories that Jeff and Blake felt weren't worthy of our attention. It's the loser edition.
You are one pathetic loser.
Loser!
Let's go. Loser! You're a loser!
The Losers Club. Bunch of losers.
You're such a loser.
You made me feel like a loser!
She's a loser.
You are such a loser. Loser.
Yes, it is that time of the morning where we play America's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. But these are the stories that Jeff and Blake passed over earlier this week. They come back for a second shot at glory. You know how this works. Silly stories I find on the interwebs, dumb headlines, and nobody in charge is paying attention. So, shh, just keep it a secret. Here we go. Gentlemen, the returning stories are headline number 1, new collar. Headline number 2, that's Dr. Tube. Headline number 3, lighten your load. And headline number 4, you can smell it. Mr. Hunt, your choice.
You can smell it.
Yes, you can smell it. Now, this goes back to an old wives' tale that many of us heard from cowboys. You know, the one about horses being able to smell your fear. Well, turns out they're absolutely right. The science hippies have confirmed that horses can detect fear in humans by smell. They did an experiment where they put some cotton pads under the armpits of some humans and then made them watch either funny or scary movies. Afterwards, after we secreted all the stuff out of our body, they put the smells in and around the horse's nose and then exposed them to unusual, unknown objects or people. Those horses that had been exposed to people that watched the scary movies were much more skittish around an unknown person or an unknown object. They conducted these tests a series of times, and they proved out every single time. Horses actually can smell your fear.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. We learn something every day.
They can smell a little plastic bag.
Yes, they can. Yes. All righty. Now, Blake, new collar, that's Dr. Tube or lighten your load.
New caller.
Yes, new caller. Authorities are searching for a man who recently skipped a court appearance. They're talking about bringing him and collaring him, but that's after another collar was discovered. See, he disappeared after leaving his court-ordered GPS ankle monitor attached to a dog. Lamont Holmes had been due in front of an Albany County court judge earlier this week. He had a hearing that was scheduled on weapons charges. Well, when he didn't appear, the probation department notified that Holmes had cut off his ankle monitor and affixed it to a dog. The dog was actually found free running around the neighborhood in the town of Nassau. A veterinarian noticed the ankle monitor was attached to the dog's collar and called police. And they went, this is interesting. Yeah, Holmes now has a bench warrant out for him. But yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Hey, Chief, look, this guy... Is he humping a dog?
Yeah, what is he doing? It's just like, oh, yeah. And the suspect keeps running in circles. I don't understand what's happening. And spending a lot of time in the park. I don't
He
understand
likes
what this is.
Frisbee.
Yes, he likes Frisbee a lot. This is weird. All righty. Jeff, your choice, sir.
Why do people keep petting him?
Yeah, I have no idea. All right, Jeff, that's Dr. Tube or lighten your load.
Dr. Tube.
Yes, that is Dr. Tube to you. Google's AI overviews may actually be relying more on YouTube than on actual medical sources, according to a new search ranking platform. The analysts at CEO platform SE Ranking analyzed over 50,000 German language health prompts and keywords and capturing a one-time snapshot in December looking searches that were run in the city of Berlin. And they found that most of the time Google's AI overview for people when they're asking about health-related queries, well, they would point them towards YouTube videos more often than actual medical sources. Like 82% of the time that they would point to something that was on YouTube. Sometimes those videos were from actual medical experts. Not often. Not all the time. So understand, when you're going to AI and you're asking them to, diagnose what you got, it's going to tell you have cancer. Just saying. It's just ridiculous. So, yeah, don't trust it. That's the end of
There's
You Choose the
a whole
News.
Office episode where Michael clicks the wrong button for female and thinks that his stomach pains are related to female stuff.
Oh, that's great. Yes.
Don't trust WebMD.
No, that's just called youhavecancer.com. That's all it is. So you choose your adventure book, and it ends up telling you I got cancer.
All right, we'll get into the Jack Smith testimonies as well as our math debate. You're listening to a Friday edition of the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, we'll be back right after this. Don't forget to carry the one. We are Denver's talk station. This is 710